this on our YouTube channel from Customer FX. And so 8.2 introduced several new functions, primarily for the administrator of the system. And so we just wanted to do a little bit of a deeper dive into the filter manager. We talked about it in a previous one at just sort of a very high level, but we want to just show you a real-world example today of how we think it would be useful. Now, I'm also going to come clean and say that in the last few days, as we've been sort of familiarizing ourselves with the new filter manager, we have discovered some issues with it. And we're going to throw Infor under the bus, of course. No, we'll tell them, hey, look, we discovered a few things that we don't think are quite right. Usually they're very good about correcting that stuff. They do listen. So I'm anticipating that some of the things that don't work the way I think they should will likely be fixed, if they agree with me, in an upcoming service pack or hot fix, but we'll see. And I'll kind of maybe explain a few of the limitations we ran into through the presentation today too. So what is a filter manager? And probably the best way to start this out would be to say, if we go to a main entity, and everything that's on the nav bar is a main entity. So these are destinations within Infor CRM where you can go to see your data. And of course, it's organized in logical structure, accounts, contacts, leads, and so forth. So we've navigated to accounts, and currently we're in what we call the list view. So this is where filters come into play, is over here on the right. So not to be confused with groups, groups are these tabs that are horizontally arranged across the top. So groups are permanent. They're always there when you log in. These are your groups that you built. And they do, in fact, filter the data. That's true. But a group is again, permanent unless you delete it or hide it. And so you can also add new groups. But there can be post filters applied to your group. So what does that mean? So right now I'm on a group called customers, customers. And it's telling me that there's 1,009 customers that fell under the conditions that I created for this group. Just show me my customers kind of thing. But I can pare the data down even further temporarily by using these quick filters over on the right. So an example of that would be, okay, I've got 1,009, but show me only the ones in Arizona. So I clicked on the state filter, pivoted that little arrow down. It presented me with all of the states, and it even tells me if I click on that, I'm going to get 26. So I started with customers, so I've already limited the data, but now I'm limiting the data even further that's displaying in this list by applying a filter. Now, that's nothing new. Infor has had that for several releases here, but what if you wanted to add more filters? What if what you see here, these 8 or so, 9, what if I want more than that? How do I add other filters to my data groups that I want to see? The answer was, prior to 8.2, is that you had to crack open the application architect, get a developer involved who had to go in and make some coding changes to get one of these new filters to show up. So they've added the filter manager, so now that task has been delegated to an administrator rather than a developer, and I think that's pretty cool. Now, the other place that these filters are used is in the dashboards area. So if we jump over to dashboards, there's a little dashboard funnel here that I built that shows my open opportunities, and this is built upon a group of opportunity records. So the dashboard widgets, they're called, are created from a group that you created in that main entity view. And so this is going to give you a list, just like that horizontal list of groups we looked at. It was showing at the account view. Here's all those groups that we've built for opportunities. This is going to become important as we move ahead here to understand. So dashboard widgets, again, can only be created against a group of records, okay? So let's get into the filter manager now. So if you're logged in as the administrator or you're a user that's been granted administration rights, you're going to see over on that administration area the filter manager destination in the system. So here it is. So the top half of the screen is all of the entities that are available in the database. Account, everybody knows what that is. Account operating company, I don't know what that is. And so we have a whole lot of data entities in here that do not have a view within the system. In other words, there's nothing on the nav bar where I can go and say, okay, show me the account operating company view. Well, there isn't any. There's a table that's holding data that's utilized by the account data structure, but there's no view to build a group for account operating company as an example. Activities, yes, there is an activity area in the nav bar, so I can build groups on that. So the question might be, well, why do I care? The reason is you can only create dashboard widgets on entities that have a group, and a group can only be built against a main entity view, but not all the entities have a main view and therefore can't have a group. So Customer FX actually fixed that. We created a tool today that lets you add a group to any data entity in the system, even if that data entity doesn't have a view to build a group from, which is a lot of them. And so we just think that's pretty cool, so we're showing off a little bit here. So I can now build a group against any data entity in the system I want, whether it has a main view or not. So like, for example, account products. Well, there is no main view for account products, and yet I can still build a group that I can now use in a dashboard widget that can say, show me all of the products that are owned by our customers in a dashboard. You can now do that by building a group here. You're familiar with the group builder. By just creating the conditions and the layouts and whatnot and giving the group a name, of course, and then that's going to become available for a dashboard widget in the dashboard area. Pretty cool. I can hear the cheering. Okay, so let's get back to the filter manager, and I'll show you an example of how this would work. So I'm going to scroll my screen up a little bit because the bottom half now is all of those quick filters that are already available in the account view. Remember, we started at the account view. There was already 8 or 9 quick filter fields available for us to pare the data down. But what if I want more than that? What if I'm not satisfied with just the ones that came out of the box? No worries. So what I can do here is click on the plus sign under filters, and we're going to create a new one. So we can just say, well, what if I want to see a dashboard or have a quick filter in my accounts area that's based on the region, the geographical region in our country where my accounts are located. That's typically what people use the region field for. So now I'm going to pick the region field in the data. So I've got a filter name region. It's going to be display name as region. It's a distinct row, a distinct rather than a lookup or a range. We'll look at those two as we move forward, but we're just going to say distinct, so it shows them all to me. I'm not going to offer any other ways to look up region other than just show me the list, and I'll check the boxes as I wish. You can also, when you do that filtering, when you pivot the arrow down and the drop down of all the values in the fields shows up, you can have it group them by characters. So let's say the region starts with a letter. If you put in a 0, you're going to get 26 values. If you have an account with a region, in every region that started with every letter of the alphabet, you get 26. But what if you just wanted them grouped together? You can say, show me the first 2 characters and get a smaller list that's returned. I'll explain that as we go further, but this is one of the parts that doesn't work, so I'm not going to show it to you anyway. It's supposed to limit the return of the filterable values when you pivot the arrow down over here in the quick filter area, but it's not working, so we're going to give them a pass today. So what happened here is I now have a new filter available to the account view called region. That's going to filter on the region view. So let's see if that's true. So now we're going to go back here to accounts, and we're going to look at my customers. And do you see the region quick filter now that we just created? No. Why? Because it doesn't exist in the columns. So these quick filters that we built only become available to use if the column of data that the filter was built on is actually showing up in this list view. We have account, city, state, name, type, subtype, status, account manager, and owner. No region, even though I added a region filter. Okay, how do we fix that? We just have to edit this group real quick, go into the layout. I know I'm moving pretty quick. And then we're going to go over and find region alphabetically here. If I remember how to spell it. Starts with an R. There we go. And I'm going to drag this down into, it's always been fussy here. Come on. Whoops. Sorry. I am clicking too fast. Something goofy with GoToMeeting. Oh, let me try it again here. Not a good demo unless something goes wrong, but let's try that again here. Region. Now, of course, it was working when I practiced, but now not. There we go. So now the region field has been added way over on the right, so it's going to appear on the right-hand side of this column when we click OK. And the other thing that's going to happen is, ta-da, is the region field will show up over here. But I have one more goofy step I have to go through. You only have to do this once, is you have to log out and log back in, or it doesn't show up. So again, this is a bit of a work in progress, so don't be disappointed that this isn't working as well as it should or could. So now I'll go back to my customers group, and my region field is still not showing up. Okay, not sure why. Bree, got any words of wisdom for me? Because I've added it. It's in here. Oh, sorry, wrong field. My bad. Somehow I ended up on relationship. I apologize. I don't know how I grabbed the wrong field, but I did. So let's try that again. Let's go back to region and edit that. Well, it does look right to me. Okay, something is amiss. So I obviously added the wrong field to the group. I built the filter correctly, but have my layout wrong. Yes. Now let's get region and do it right. And we're almost there. It's always fun. And let's get rid of relationship. Okay, so I grabbed the right field this time. And we'll click OK. And it should refresh. And now we have the region field. And I'm going to refresh, see if that gets it to come up. Nope. So I'm going to log back out, quick and back in. And try it again. Back here to customers. There we go. Bingo. So now I've added a quick filter over on the right that lets me pare down my data even further. So what I can say is, out of the 1,009 accounts, I only want to see the one that's in the Midwest region, for example. And that's why you see region Midwest. Or if we go Southeast, choose that one instead, we should be getting a smaller list. Come on. Let me clear all my filters here and try it again. Okay, one more time. Midwest. There we go. So we've got 235 in the Midwest region. So you can see the region is only showing the Midwest, but I can add the Northeast as well. So now I have a list of my Midwest, and mixed in with it is the Northeast accounts. Now, one other thing I'll show you here is you can edit the return values. So we've got Asia Pac and EMEA and Midwest, Northeast. What if I'm a user that has nothing to do with Europe? I can say, even though I have a quick filter that's built on the region, I'm only a US guy. I never want to see any Asia or EMEA records. So as a user now, I can edit the items that are returned to me. So if I ever activate that region filter, I never have to worry about seeing the ability to filter on regions that I have nothing to do with. So it just makes this list a little bit more usable for your users. So you can always hit clear and remove those, and it will refresh itself and go back to the 1,009 we started with. All right, so let's go back to a dashboard now, which is, well, let me back you up here and say that when you build a filter and you use distinct rows, which means, or distinct values, like we did with region, so that is built using distinct values. So let's add a different one here. There are other types of quick filter selections available to you, such as lookup and range. So if you pick range, you can actually say, when I activate this quick filter I'm about to build, I want to say that the range name is date, or let's say area code. Let's say I'm going to do a phone number one. And the lower value is 000 and the upper value is 499. Then I can add another one that says the same thing. And what this is going to do is it's going to give me two choices to pick from. Rather than showing me every phone number for every account, it's going to say, well, I'm going to give you two checkboxes. One that says, show me all of them that have an area code that starts with between 0 and 499, and then another checkbox that says, show me the 500s to 999s. And so that's what a range type of filter would do. And you can build those ranges depending on what kind of a field it is. If it's a date field, it'll give you a date range. And then a lookup means you type in what you actually want to filter on. So rather than it presenting you with a list of all the data, you actually type in what you want it to find for you. Like you could type in the word Midwest if we had a lookup on that region field instead of a distinct type of quick filter. And there's some examples of those kinds of filters already in the system. Okay, the next thing I wanted to show you was that you'll see that any of them with a distinct are available as a dashboard widget data source. So if they're a range or a lookup, you can't use them in a dashboard because dashboards are not interactive in the sense that I can't apply a filter or answer questions on a dashboard widget. So dashboard widgets are built upon groups of records that have a filter that has been built using the distinct data set type. That's why all those have the blue check boxes, and the lookup and the ranges do not. So with that said, let's just quickly build a dashboard off of what we just created here. So we're going to right-click and say Add Content. and I want a column chart, and this is region, and the entity is account. Now you notice we have account product in here. That's because we used our cool little group builder tool, and we created a group of records for account products. So now I can build dashboard widgets off of my account products, which are my customer assets. I can see, show me everybody that owns this kind of an asset versus this kind of an asset, hardware, software, that kind of thing. So that's the value of that. And then here's my groups. We'll just say all accounts, and the dimension I want to use is region. That's available to me now because I added that as a filter. And then I just want to see the count. I just want to count for the metric. I don't have a goal. And we'll say the X and Y axis here. You don't have to fill that out. That's the label. And we'll see what we get. So now it's saying that, okay, here's all my regions. And it's saying that in the Midwest, there's 235 accounts. In Southeast, 176. Southeast, 157. Southwest, Northwest, Northeast. So that's how you use the filters we created to drive the data that shows up in your dashboard widgets. So again, few bugs were discovered today. We're going to report those to Infor. It doesn't work perfectly. It's a great start, but we're going to try to help them get it just perfect. And if you'd be interested in this group builder tool, we can post that on our website as well. And with that, Bree, any questions at this point?
Thanks, Scott. We do have one question right now. We'll give you guys a minute or two here to type up any others. But our first question is, can we build a group for widgets from a customer-developed table as well as a non-standard Infor CRM table? I'm guessing that was supposed to be customized developed table.
Yeah, you absolutely can. So same rules apply, though, that I was explaining, and that is that if you build a custom table and it does not show up as a main view in the nav bar, which means if it doesn't have a way to go look at that data as a main view and create a list view, that means you can't build a group, so you can't build a dashboard from that data using filters anyway, unless you build it, with this group builder tool that we had shown here a little bit earlier. So yes, you can against a custom table, but no, you can't if you don't have it built as a main view and or don't have this tool.
All right, Scott, we have another question that came in. Is the pie chart widget working in 8.2?
It is. Yes, it is working. We love pie. I like pie. So it is working, and absolutely. It was broken. We admit it, but all is good now.
All right, Scott, it looks like that is all we have for questions right now.
Great. Well, that was easy. Sorry I had a little bit of a hiccup there, even though I practiced this all day long. Never fails. If it's going to break, it's going to do it while I'm showing it live. And not that it broke, but I got ahead of it or something, but it seems to be fine now. So great. Thank you, Bree, and thanks everybody for attending. And stay tuned for next month's webinar. We look forward to doing these, and hopefully we'll be showing you something equally as exciting. Thanks, and have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.